How to focus on studying. Welcome to the Best Years Podcast. This is Dr. Darlene at whatstopsyou.com, speaking to Generation X and baby boomers who want more. I'll share power, skills, and tools with you to get your mojo back on a conscious and unconscious level. Be ready for real and lasting change. You've already decided to go back to school. This is now the next video. And you're saying, how do I study and how do I focus for long periods of time? How do I organize my studying? How do I do it? Well, I'm going to tell you how I did it and how my clients have done it and what my students in college do. I teach college down at Dixie University right now in Utah, and I've taught at many different universities, and I know what study habits are that work, and I know what study habits are that don't work for sure. Got some notes here to make sure that I really go over this quickly. This is on the go, meaning you've got to go and I've got to go and we've lots to do. And so quickly, let me give you some tips and strategies on how to get it done and how to get your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, or your doctorate in the amount of time you set. Number one, what do you want? Which degree are you in? How many classes are you taking? Now, stop for a second. Are you taking an appropriate amount of classes? Are you going to look back and regret this? Too few, too many? My story that I told in a different video called College at Age 50, Am I Too Old? I talked about getting my bachelor's and taking 27 years to do it and finishing my doctorate at age 57. So I like the slow, steady route. So whatever you've chosen, that's up to you right now. How many classes do you have? Say 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. If you've got more than that, then hopefully you don't have anything else to do. Because then that's called, have you ever had a piece of bread? You cook it and it's really yummy and you put butter on it, but there's not enough butter to go on the edge of it or around the whole side of it. So like there's only half of it that's yummy. So pace yourself is a really good thing. So let's say you've got a lot to do and you've got 3 classes. Let's go with that. Let's see where to start. This is what I know, and you know, is that you have a body clock. You have biorhythms, and you're better in the morning or you're better at night. Do you wake up da 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 ba da bum ba da bum ba da da at 7 a.m. or 5 a.m. Go to the gym, or do you like, oh my gosh, it's 10 in the morning. Why are you calling so early? Do you turn on at 10 at night, like rolling into 4th gear? Here we go. There's no right or wrong. What's your biorhythms? When's your strongest time? When's the time within that? Because you've got to put work in there, family or social or whatever else you do in there. So you choose. What I want you to do is I want you to choose a time block. So hold on to that thought for just a minute. Let me tell you what I did. I'm in a doctorate program at the time, and I thought, okay, I need at least 21 hours a week of study for what I need to do. So I said, okay, I'm going to do 3 hours a day for 7 days a week. So I did. And for me, and I had kids that were in high school at the time, 1. And then I had grandkids that would knock on the door, and they knew not to knock on the door unless there was blood or smoke. My kids, oh, Nana's studying. Or, Mom's in there. Don't go in there. No, don't go in there. So for me, it worked best to study 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. 7 days a week. And I did it for 7 years. I know, right? Okay, so I think that sounds really cool. And when I look back, I'm like, no, that's like the coolest person ever. But I just did it because that's just what we do. And my body would think all night long, my brain, and I'd wake up just ready to go. So 7 to 10, can't text anyone because most of them are asleep. The stores aren't open. Email, no one's going to get it yet. And then I could go do my private practice at 10:30. Go to my office and meet with clients the rest of the day. It was a beautiful thing for Teach College. So when's your time? A lot of my college students study from 9 to 11, and you don't usually need 3 hours every day, 7 days a week. You probably need, okay, let's say you're doing Well, let's go with a bachelor's. You probably need an hour a day. So in my 3 hours, let's say it's Monday, and I know that I have something huge due on Thursday. So on Monday, I've got 3 hours, then Tuesday 6, Wednesday 9, and Thursday morning, I have 12 hours. So on Monday, I'm not panicked to get something done because I know I have 12 hours or whatever the math is until Thursday. So number one, are you taking the appropriate amount of classes that you're not going to regret missing out on the classes or something else you could have been involved in? Number two, what's your best block of time? And then decide how much time that would be. At a bachelor's, I'd say 5 days a week at an hour. Yeah, maybe 2 hours. Depends on what you're doing. So you decide whether it's 3 hours is a lot every day for me in a row. And I'm telling you right now, if you want to not make this work, let me tell you what to do to make this not work. Study whenever you have a second. Just run in there and then do this and then go to dinner. And then go, okay, now I'm going to write this paper. Oh, shoot. And then you come back. Because what happens is when you come back, it's like a Rubik's Cube that you've been working on and you stopped. Then you left and you came back in the Rubik's Cube like you don't know where it is anymore. So back to number one, do you have the right amount of classes? 2 is what's the amount of time you're going to spend. Now let's talk about what you're going to do in that time. But I really need you to commit to telling me that you have a time. What is it? Pause the audio and say, okay, it's going to be from 9 to 11 at night, or from, and some clients and students say from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. is all the time I have. And then I say, then don't go to school. School's not the only thing in life. School's not the only thing in life. Don't do it. You really can make money without school. So I'm talking you into it and I'm talking you out of it, because school's not everything. I know so many successful people successful financially that don't go to school, and successfully emotionally that didn't go to that kind of school. They went to certifications. My kids are whizzes, but they've got a lot of certifications and not accredited stuff. So I'm having you rethink stuff. So what you want to do is you want to set a reasonable and achievable goal. If it's not reasonable and achievable, then so that's why I'm kind of pausing. You can tell I'm kind of doing this. So have you got a reasonable and achievable goal by saying, are you doing the right thing and how many hours do you want to study? Now, if you can't fit that in, then just hang up and go do something else. Because then you won't like your life, and I want to help you like your life, and then you can like it in different areas. So if you decide you can do this for your hour, 2 or 3 a day, then let's go to the next step. And that is what to do in those 3 hours. Okay, good. You know when you're going to study, don't you? Okay. I'm pausing because everybody has a hard time with this one that I've coached, where they say they're going to do it, and then I have to say, well, does that really work for you? Every day, at least 5 days a week, or whatever you choose. All right. Let's say you're going to pick 2 hours at a certain time. What you want to do is at the end of those 2 hours, let's talk about that first. You want to close up, kind of end. So you want to take the last 15 minutes to 30 to say, all right, by tomorrow, and then write a to-do list tomorrow. So tomorrow I need to research, I've got to cut and paste those articles. I've got to make a reference list. Let's see, because you're in the middle of this Rubik's Cube, yeah? And you want to make sure that you take notes. So when you come back tomorrow, you go, it takes you a minute. Oh yeah. That's what we're going to do. And then you can start really like you left off. Do you love it? Now, when it comes to those hours, you can say, I'm just going to take the first 15 minutes to know where the heck I am. So that's part of what I just said. And then you know where you are and you can rock and roll. And it's so cool because you know you really have that time to focus, to study for long hours. Can you study for long hours when you're depressed? If you've got this in sealed, and delivered, and if you've been doing it for months, for years, yeah, you can study when you're depressed. You can study when you're distracted. How to make yourself study when you're distracted. is because you've already committed, and so you do what you have committed to. Are there times you'll need to study or do things longer than your allotted time? Yes. When I took math, it's a whole nother very long, mildly sad and mildly rewarding story, because I didn't take math in high school much because they didn't make you. And so I was behind, and I had to take a whole lot more math than my fellow students who were my children's ages. So I had a tutor or / teacher come over. She was a 22-year-old girl, and she came over 3 times a week just for math. And I was an adult. I had teenage kids. And she would help and sit down with me and do this. And we would do an hour and a half, and then I would study after that. This is before my 3-hour block. But I'm just going to tell you that there was an experience I had where I studied for 12 hours straight. It was almost like an addiction, an obsession. It's kind of sick and weird, but it felt so good. Honestly, I work with obsessions with clients and addictions, and it literally almost felt good to feel, I know this is embarrassing. Okay. It felt good to be overstimulated mentally, to where I would study the math and I'd do this and I'd learn and I'd turn the page, and it was very organized. And then I almost threw up. I know. I'm confessing. That's how much I studied that day. I literally was gagging at the toilet. Now, I only did that once, and I look back on it as kind of a cool experience of how determined I was. Because if you don't have determination, you're not going to study when you're depressed or when you're distracted. And you're not going to be able to study for long hours at a time with concentration. But if you are determined, you can. Another tip for you, how to study for long hours or intensely when we're going to go above our allotted time. By the way, if you've got a lot of time, you probably don't need to do a lot of what I'm saying. Kind of talking out two sides. If you're organized every single day, you don't need to be so intense very much. But if you do, on occasion, then one thing that would have helped me not throw up that day was to change right and left brains. Now, this is really according to research. I can find the studies if you want to chat, and we can look it up, or you can Google it. Studies about how to rest your brain. So we think resting our brain is just laying down and sleeping. Well, that definitely works, and I love doing that. Yet if you're doing a left brain activity where there's lots of numbers, and you go, oh, I gotta rest from this. Whew, I'm going to go write a short story, a fun short story, and be creative, or make a fun meal that's just super creative, or do something like that that will change your brain so you can come back to the left brain. If you have a very creative job, creative marketing job, creations of flyers and banners and posters, and you're just exhausted, go add numbers. Yeah. So that's one way to change it up, to study for long periods of time and help you focus. The other thing, of course, is to take that walk around the park every 2 hours. Every hour to 2, you want a physical break. So changing right brain and left brain is good. And also taking a physical break, walking around the park, doing something else. So if you have a left brain job, walk around the park with a right brain audio going about creation, or think about creating something. If you have a right brain job, creation job, then take your walk around the park thinking of logical, linear banking things you need to get done. Yeah, cool, huh? Something I actually hadn't thought about that until I read it and I started applying it. It was really interesting how that made a whole lot of sense. So are you excited? Do you have mojo for what you're going to do and how you're going to study? How do you study for exams? Let's see. How to focus on studying. Okay, that's what I wanted to say, is how to focus on studying for exams. Do it ahead of time. Okay, the best way to learn is now. So you're in class and you're thinking, I got to text my friends, or my boyfriend's breaking up with me, or you have all these issues. So you're one half listening. Then you go home to your 2 hours and you spend your 2 hours. Or you do your manic day where you feel sick. Well, instead, I invite you to listen with 100% of you to your professor. Listen. Memorize it now. Hear it. Learn it. Integrate it. Utilize it. Know it. Be it. Bring. Class is over. You're done. Go out. Ooh, shake it off. Guess what? You already know everything. Everything that was said in that room is in your mind. And you can retrieve it through relaxation during your exam. It's a whole nother video. Listening, paying attention is the best way to study. Because then you already know it. And then you just refresh. Yeah? You like it? So, with my college students, when we first come to class, I go, how was your week? Do you want to share about your week? We do that. And then I say, how many of you are 100% here right now? Like your whole brain, body and brain, and nobody raises their hand. I go, okay, fine. How many of you are 50% here? 3 of them go. I go, how many of you are over 80? And one goes like this. And then there's always the one that's like 90. And I say, okay, so you know how to do it. And that's another video that I do of how to be present in the moment. And so just for today, be present in the moment by choosing to, knowing that you can get to that text later, knowing that you can call them later, knowing that you can feel sad later. Right now we're listening to this professor. And so I say to my students, I'll wait. Raise your hand when you're 80. It's really cool. We just sit there. Dun, 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 dun. And all of a sudden, I'll go, pretty soon. I go, okay. Is everybody 80? Okay, how about if we do 90? Because this is really cool, the stuff I'm going to teach you today. Like, you're going to love it. Like, it's going to really be good. And pretty soon, they're all 90. Maybe to 100. And that is so great. They can go home now and not study much. Because they know it. So there's some tips for you. How to concentrate on studying continuously for long hours by taking breaks. How to make yourself focus on studying because you chose it and you're passionate about it and you time managed it out. And unless there's blood or smoke, you ain't going to pay attention to anything other than studying, doing your homework, getting it all done, thinking ahead, planning ahead, thinking ahead, planning ahead, getting it done early. I don't accept late work, ever, unless you have a doctor's note. Wow. Never. Not going to do it. I have 2 pages of don't do that to me in my syllabus. So every professor is different. You want to calibrate your professor too. What do they want? Do they want the long version or the short version? What does your professor want? And then manage it. So as you take a breath and you get excited to create your life, and create your studying patterns and the times you get to spend in your place. Oh, and always study in the same exact place too, by the way. I forgot to say that. Same place with all your stuff laid out. Won't it be nice when you can organize this class here, this class here, this class here. Bring it down. Next class. And then you say, where's the Rubik's Cube? What are my notes for next time? 3 more minutes. Ding. Done. Off to my day. And until tomorrow. So, good luck to you. Let me know if I can help further. And we'll talk soon. Good luck. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to my channel so we can hang out. Also, go to www.whatstopsyou.com for notes to this podcast and learn more power skills to indeed live the best years of your life.